Had a dream, I finally made it. Woke up, my perm was outdated. And I'm gonna push it all out. Do it. Shout out to Wrestle Shade, the natural selection. Cause when he says that, I'm gonna slick my edges to dead. That shit is that shit tickles the hell out of me. But anyway, this is Wrestling in Color Podcast right here on YouTube. Make sure you thumbs up the video. Make sure you subscribe. Follow me on Instagram and the what's it called? Pinterest. Let me get a sip of something. Do all the things. Hit me in the comments. Let me know what's going on. Check out my latest about Ember Moon and all of the available content to you right here on YouTube. So what we talking about? It's hot out in these streets, y'all. Sports Illustrated, New York Post, everybody's talking about it. Y'all see the picture. Sasha Banks and Naomi walked out, and questions rise about their WWE future. So it's a lot going on, and this is the first time Sasha walked out and did what she felt she needed to do. But for Naomi, this is major, because Naomi usually is she gonna go along to get along. She usually keep it cute. She don't really rock the boat like that. And for her to walk out in solidarity with Sasha Banks, that shows a lot of integrity, and I can appreciate that. A lot of y'all out there who don't listen to me and don't understand what I'm saying completely missing the point when it comes to employees. You never gonna hear me stick up for no motherfucking corporate entity. I don't give a fuck. I'm all about unionization. I'm all about workers' rights. I'm all about, if the job don't fit, walk off that motherfucker. I don't give a fuck if you gotta back up. Do not let a job ruin your mental health. I've been there, done that. And no, I will not. You understand? That's why I'm in school now, to get into a position where I love to go to work, get some type of fulfillment, so when I get that weak ass paycheck, I don't feel like a complete idiot. That's the whole point. Everybody's sitting around pondering why we gotta live like this. Well, why the fuck is everyone confused as to what's going on with Naomi and Sasha Banks? So let's get into this. So Monday Night Raw happened. We was expecting a 6-man tag team with the tag team champs, Nikki Ash, Doudrop, and oh my goodness, who was the other two? I want to say Shayna Baszler and old girl. I'm not really sure. I forgot. Whatever. It's supposed to be a 6-man tag team. So all of a sudden, in mid show, Becky Lynch comes up. She comes up to Adam Pearce and she's like, "Well, I just saw Sasha Banks and Naomi walk out with their luggage. They walk right on out. So I'm gonna need to go ahead and get me a motherfucking match against motherfucking Asuka." And Adam Pearce was like, "All right, boom." And then you got Corey, old boy, on there talking about they unprofessionally walked out. Everybody's like, "What the fuck is going on here? What the fuck is going on here?" So here we go. Sasha Banks, Naomi are the Women's Tag Team Championships, a tag team division non-existent. They're not going to be much longer. It's going to be up for grabs in some type of fashion. And I'm going to tell you right now, to be completely honest, either put them tag team championships down to NXT or get rid of them. Them tag team champions been a problem since they brought them up a couple years ago and fucked them over. Sasha Banks and what's her name? Oh my goodness, Sasha Banks and Hug Connection. Oh my god, Bailey. Since Sasha Banks and Bailey had it, it's always been a problem. The division was just non-existent. So over a creative dispute that included the direction of the night show as well as their future together, after receiving assurances from Vince McMahon over the past few months that there will be a renewed focus on women's tag team titles, which should be the case when someone with the star powers of Banks is involved, that has yet to happen since the duo won the belts over a month ago at WrestleMania 38. With frustration mounting, Monday's Raw served as the breaking point. Banks and Naomi ultimately returned their tag titles to John Laurinaitis, who was head of talent relations, and walked out. So exactly, how did this happen? So according to Sports Illustrated, the plan for Raw was a six-pack challenge match that would have ended with Naomi winning, including pinning Banks, to become the number one contender for the Raw Women's title being held by Bianca Belair. She would have challenged Bianca for that title at Hell in a Cell on June 5th, a match where all signs pointed to Belair was going to retain. A pay-per-view match against Belair, even if it ended defeat, could have been a major moment for Naomi. But she and Banks are taking a long-term risk by walking out, which is viewed as one of the biggest sins in pro wrestling. McMahon and company were quick to react, which is where the unprofessional came in. Y'all talk about Banks and Naomi? This is unprofessional. They released a statement, had Corey Graves criticize them on air during a walkout. The statement was undoubtedly designed to damage the reputations of Banks and Naomi, especially when stating Banks and Naomi claimed they were uncomfortable in the ring with two of their opponents, even though they had matches with these individuals in the past with no consequence. 1/2 members of the WWE roster who spoke to Sports Illustrated for the story, no one believed that Banks and Naomi felt unsafe with any of their opponents. But all those who spoke with Sports Illustrated agreed that walking out comes with negative consequences and that neither Banks nor Naomi endeared themselves to the locker room with their decision. I don't know how to think about that, because these are grown-ass women. I have to tell y'all a motherfucking thing. If I'm tired, I'm tired. I don't need nobody talking me into dealing with bullshit. And that's what that sounds like. My fucking job just threw me in the mud to save face before the shit hit the fan. I don't like that. Okay? Walking out is an absolute last resort. Typically, it comes with negative consequences. Stone Cold walked out on Raw in 2002, and it took him a long time before he returned to Vince McMahon's good graces. To his day, Austin still refers to that decision as a critical mistake. But this is in 2002. This ain't Stone Cold. There are options available, and now that others simply didn't have in the past. And for those who have followed Banks for the duration of her career, it's a wise policy to never, ever bet against her. Listen, Banks gonna be alright. She gonna be alright. So Sasha went ahead and met with Vince McMahon before returning her title. Sources close to the situation confirmed to Sports Illustrated, walking out closes this particular chapter of Banks' career, but it's simply too big of a draw for WWE to lose. While it's within the realm of possibility that Vince McMahon could cut Banks and Naomi, it remains unlikely. As proven by her work in The Mandalorian, Banks is a star with or without WWE, a fact that undoubtedly is not lost on McMahon. The view that this person who wrote this is taking, that Banks will be back by the fall with a raise. WWE may replace her, but that will be proven to be unattainable. There's only one Sasha Banks. Naomi, on the other hand, she's in a difficult position because she's the wife of Jimmy Uso, who's a part of the Bloodline, WWE's most influential group behind the scenes, led by Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman. The potential that exists that McMahon will treat her similarly the way Paul Triple H Levinsky was punished following his involvement in the curtain call for May 96, McMahon could make an example of his champion. He could make an example of Shawn Michaels, who was also involved in the infamous moment. So Triple H was the one who lost his push. He eventually overcame the obstacle, but there's no guarantee that will happen for Naomi, an extremely talented performer who will benefit tremendously from a consistent push from McMahon and his team. If anyone can turn this into an even bigger moment, it's Banks. In the meantime, hopefully the same will happen for Naomi. Unfortunately, I think that's the one I'm worried about. I'm worried about Naomi. I'm not worried about Jimmy Uso, Jey Uso, and the Bloodline. I honestly think the only reason why Naomi's still working there is because she married Jey Uso. I don't think Vince McMahon sees any value in Naomi. The reason why I say that is because when Naomi came back to Survivor Series, everybody went up for her with the natural hair Everybody, Naomi deserves better when she was going up against Lacey Evans and looking like a fool. Everybody loves Naomi. Naomi literally does not rock the boat. Naomi just takes her pictures and stands in her glow. And for her to walk off with Sasha Banks in solidarity, I get the feeling that the backlash is going to be more on Naomi. Now, we can sit here and say it's a race thing because they quote unquote, there's two black women, quote unquote. But we can also say it's easier to kick Naomi in the ass because she just simply does not have the star power that Sasha Banks does. Now, Naomi and Sasha just got merch. So why would you put her in a match against Bianca Belair and make the tag team look weak? The problem with these tag teams, there's no fucking division. The tag team titles are useless, no matter who they're on. Since this tag title's inception, the Boss and Her connection was the very first one. They won it at Elimination Chamber in 2019. And that's where there was an issue where everybody was like, they were sitting down crying and carrying on, and there was this whole big thing going on. Because then they was kicking the tag team winners in the ass. They dropped the belts to the Iconics. That April 7th, 2019, at WrestleMania 35. They dropped the belts to the Iconics. The Iconics had that belt for 120 days. The Boss and Her connection had that belt, had the tag titles for 49 days. Okay? Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross picked up the tag titles in August on Raw, and they held the belt for 62 days. The Kabuki Warriors, which was Asuka and Kairi Sane, had the belt for 172 days. Okay? And then they dropped it to Bayley and Sasha Banks in 2020, and they held the belt for 96 days. And then Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, they dropped it. They had the belt for 120 days, and then Asuka and Charlotte Flair had the belt for 42 days. And then Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler got the belts back at the Royal Rumble kickoff, held the belts for 103 days. And then Natalya and Tamina had the belts for 129 days. Nikki Ash and Rhea Ripley had the belt for 63 days. Carmella and Queen Zelina played around with the belt for 132 days. And now Sasha Banks and Naomi got the belt. After these belts been fucked around and disrespected since Bayley and Sasha took the belts back in May 2020, and now we 2 years later in, and y'all back disrespecting the belts. I don't fucking know what else to say. So there's a fella on Twitter named Adidas Head 88, Adidas_Head 88, and apparently he follows Sasha Banks and them, and he's very close with Naomi. So this is the story. You're approached in February as being put in a tag team after both being promised big feuds at WrestleMania. You bite the bullet and put everything you got into being a tag team. It works. You get it over. You win the titles at WrestleMania. Become merch pushers. They have merch. 5 weeks into your reign, you show up to live TV and ready to work. You're told you will be in the main event, and you're happy. You both are then told that one of you will be going over from pinning the other. You have questions why the decision was being made and how it helps y'all. You request a meeting with your boss to discuss it. Your boss takes the meeting and everything is the boss takes the meeting and everything is actually going well. He understands your concerns. The meeting ends well and the match is told to be reconstructed. For some reason, producers get mad about it. Then you ask one of your members. You then ask with one of your members going over, what happens to your titles? You're told basically that you'll just be carrying the belts. They want to use you both to help both women's championships get over. Bianca versus Naomi, Sasha versus Ronda. First of all, let me pause right there. Bianca versus Naomi and Sasha versus Ronda are literally WrestleMania matches. Bianca versus Naomi is a WrestleMania match. Do you know how many fucking people want to watch Bianca versus Naomi? And the fact that you're going to throw that match away at some little pay-per-view that's not even one of your biggest pay-per-views, I got a problem with that. And I'm also fucking tired of Ronda. I'm fucking tired of her. She should be able to get herself over. Right? Why is Sasha Banks getting Ronda over? Neither of them, let's continue. Neither one of you will win the solo titles, and you won't defend your tag titles until Money in the Bank. You ask for another meeting with your boss, but this time you're being called spoiled. A producer walks away screaming. He comes back and tells you both to fix your attitudes. Y'all have a brief meeting amongst yourselves and decide to stand up for yourselves. You go to another boss and make it clear you just have concerns. You ask why we're even in the match and why aren't the other women in it. You ask why your titles have no stories for 2 months. Again, you're met with your fix your attitudes. So after one final meeting with yourselves and ask others to make the ultimate decision as a team, it's sad how one side is just trying to be creative and fucked up a narrative. Also, it was asked why were Nikki Ash and Doudrop in the match instead of starting their program tonight. Naomi nor Sasha talked about being in the ring with either one. I don't know how that got flipped. That's because WWE was trying to fuck them over before they could even get their information out. And Doudrop and Nikki Ash have a whole fucking story. Why don't you start the story with them? People want to see that. Remember, Doudrop asked Nikki when she gonna grow the fuck up and stop being silly. I believe what's going on right here. What this man said, security at Jocelyn's Cabaret, Adidas _head 88, that's what happened. You ain't never going to hear me sit here and say, oh, what Vince McMahon, The way they fucking running Ali right now, the way they was going to fuck up what's that tag team that's over there at AEW? The way they ran John Moxley in the ground before he left? Ain't no way I'm about to sit here and be like, oh. Let me tell you something, another thing, and another motherfucking thing. This whole attitude is a microaggression. Don't nobody got no motherfucking attitude. They're asking questions, and they should. They deserve respect and some damn storylines. And they deserve a tag team division. You done fired everybody and your whole goddamn thing. There's no tag team division. There's nothing for them to do. They got Doudrop. You had Rhea Ripley. Let's not even talk about how you had Rhea Ripley looking stupid with Nikki Ash, and she had to go through the motions with that bullshit. And God forbid she said, "Hey man, what's going on?" Everybody. Oh my God, she's so negative. Let me tell y'all, really, that go along to get along shit. You ain't gonna get along far. You're not gonna go far. You ain't gonna go far. Only thing I say. And I say this again, I think this ain't gonna bode well for Naomi. I hope Naomi comes out unscathed for the most part, because if Sasha comes back, because she's a commodity, and no, she's not going to AEW, and neither is Naomi. Okay, no one's going over there, but the fact that they exist gives them leverage. Okay, my whole thing is this: she's not spoiled. These are grown ass fucking women. I think a lot of people forget that WWE is a job, and just like any other fucking job, if you are uncomfortable, you are not a slave. You don't have to be forced to stay at a job. These people don't want to look stupid on TV. Don't y'all get tired of looking at people looking stupid on TV? Look at Aleister Black and the House of Black when they came out beating up them cheerleaders. Did they look stupid on TV? And it slowed their momentum down. WWE has a way of punishing people like old fucking slave drivers. Oh, you ain't gonna do what I'm gonna do? Alright, we're gonna run you in the ground. Look what they doing to Ali. Trying to make him look like a fool. They do it to everybody. Anyone who wants to speak up and wants to stand up for themselves, it's a motherfucking problem. Naomi don't get no respect. I don't give a fuck. Naomi works for everybody. She puts everyone over. She don't get no fucking respect. Sasha Banks wins titles, holds them for 2 weeks, dropping titles. And everybody sees it. It's just like, oh, well, they need to just play along. They don't need to be doing that. So WWE want to go mainstream. Guess what? You got The Root. You got Sports Illustrated. You got who picked up the story? Deadspin, Bleacher Report, all of them. WWE wanted attention. News Nation, CT Insider, E Online, USA Today. The Ringer, Stanford Advocate, What Culture, Cage Side Seats, Sports Keeda, Post Wrestling. You want your WWE wanted mainstream? Comicbook.com. They wanted mainstream. They got it. You got it now. Everybody's looking. The fuck is y'all doing? This ain't the first time a wrestler's had a beef with the way they handle. I know everybody want to be entertained, but goddamn, they people too. This ain't a fucking circus. Yes, it's scripted. Yes, all of that is predetermined. But you're still not going to sit here and make people look dumb just to do it. Naomi, they stay ignoring her. She been on the main roster, good hand. She's a 2-time women's champion. One, the first time they had to relinquish the belt. She did y'all WWE Divas. And y'all still be running her crazy. She showed her ass with what's her name, Charlotte, and y'all still ain't give her what she wanted. That whole thing with Sonya Deville, it wasn't no fucking payoff. Y'all keep trying to use these women to catapult motherfuckers, and that's just not what it is. And that works at any other job. That's almost the same. Like you work on a job for 15 years, you don't get promoted, they throw you a couple bones, a little bit of raises here and there. They hire some new motherfucker and want you to train them, and then still expect you to smile when you come in. I don't understand how everybody's missing this boat. I don't understand. They get people, they get them to come back, and then they punish them on TV, just like they doing Ali. Ain't no way what's going on with Ali is going to pay off. They're going to work his ass over till he leaves, so they can break up his stock. That's all. I find this interesting. The company's immediate jump on the story was in hopes of painting the performers as malcontent or egotistical. We have seen retractionary statements from the company before, but not as quickly as this. That will not make it easier to solve the problem. It does not it does not feel like Banks and Naomi are finished with the company. Frustrations happen. One can only hope the two sides work things over and we can continue on having a good time with each other. The fact that WWE put that bullshit out the way they did to get ahead of them, that's unprofessional. Me walking off a motherfucking job, them walking off a job ain't unprofessional. Because they don't own the company. Them sending that out, having Corey Graves run them down in the ground, that shit's unprofessional. That's what people fail to realize. Everybody want to get fucking entertained and don't care about the people that's entertaining you. And the thing with Naomi, I hate that she's attached to Jimmy and them, because almost as if the woman don't got no identity. It's almost as if it's like, oh well, you know, like it's risky for her to walk out. What about Jimmy? Jimmy got in a whole motherfucking drunken car accident driving drunks. Did nobody think about Naomi then? Did nobody think about what was risky to her? I'ma just say this, and I'm leaving here. I'm gonna let y'all dive in with me. What y'all think? I'm staying with them regardless. I don't think this is a case of Zelina Vega folding and looking like a complete fucking idiot after she came back when she left, and then she yelled out union, didn't follow through, took the money, looked like an asshole. I don't think this is the case. If they walk away from the company, that's fine. Nothing's gonna happen. They got money. They're fine. They're gonna get food on the table. I don't see Naomi wrestling anywhere else. If Naomi walks away from the WWE, she won't be wrestling nowhere else. That's gonna be it for Naomi. She could go into her dancing. She could go into her singing. If Sasha Banks walks away from the WWE, she's gonna go right back to Disney. She's gonna go make her money and do what she got to do. And we can say it's because of the way she looks. We can say all of that. I just think Naomi, this probably ain't gonna swing in her favor, unfortunately. Because they just don't see any value in Naomi. I don't give a fuck what anybody tell me. They don't see value in Naomi. They don't. She should have been about at least a 5-6-time champion. Naomi should have been a 6-time champion. I'm honestly more worried about Naomi in this whole thing. You know what? I'm going to say this. I remember Becky and Charlotte, they have their beef, and there was supposed to be a change of titles. And Charlotte threw the title on the ground. And then nothing happened. Nothing happened. Everybody was like, oh, but nothing to the level of this. Naomi and them standing up, and it turned into a whole bunch of racist and sexist and ridiculousness. and you calling them unprofessional on the air. But when Charlotte threw that belt at Becky, I didn't hear unprofessional. For me, it's always gonna be a problem. It's always gonna be in the back of my mind. I'm gonna leave it right there. Y'all tell me what y'all think about this situation and what you think is gonna happen. And are you on Sasha and Naomi's side, or are you on the side of Vince McMahon and this whole respectability and unprofessionalism? That shit don't get you nowhere. I don't give a fuck how much money it is. It's Wrestling Color Podcast. Y'all hit me in the comments later.